Okay, so this is the Wednesday evening, November 20th, 2024 Cemetery Commissioners meeting, starting at, I have 6:08.
Yep.
Okay. In attendance is myself, Walter Tibbetts, Susan Millinger, and at this point, we do not have Dina Standard joining the meeting as of yet. So, going on to the agenda, number one on the agenda is review and approve minutes of the October 23rd, 2024 meeting. And that's not what I printed out. Excuse me a moment while I try to reprint those. I printed the wrong ones.
Sure. They were pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think as far as I can recall, there was oh, I don't have them there. I gotta get them off the
Well, I suppose if you let me, I might be able to share screen, maybe.
Okay, not really. Might be just, I'm not sure how to do that to share with you. Let's see.
You have
Oh,
to
well, sure.
you have
Can
to
I,
give permission for more than one person.
let's see, share?
And I'm not very good at sharing.
Options. Yeah.
You want to just wait till the next meeting?
Oh, wait, there's host tools. Let's see.
Should have an option to let more than one person share at the same time.
Right. And I'm not, to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure how to do. Oh, here we go. Who can start? No, start a collaboration. That's not what we want either. Well, you know, something, it'll be just as, I think it'll be just as easy for me to just quickly open my email and print them out.
Okay.
Apologize for this, but.
I can send them to you again.
Yeah, I got them right here. I just had to print them out.
Okay.
There they go. Well, at least I got my camera working, so that's.
Oh, good. Yeah, that is good. Last time there was a problem with that.
Yeah, and you know what it ended up being? There is a little hidden internal slide on the
Oh,
camera.
yes.
And my other computers didn't have that, but this one does, and it's got a little thing there, and it just
That
did
shut.
that,
Yes.
and I didn't realize it.
That
And
happened to me a year or two ago. It took me a long time to figure out why the hell I had no picture.
right, because I was going into the computer settings, I was going into everything, I was going into the Zoom settings. I could not get it to allow my camera to work. Then I was doing something else on it, and I came up with into another way, and it says there is either a switch or something that shut off on your computer. It's like, I don't have a switch that controls the camera. And I was going around, I happened to hit it, and it came on. It's like, oh, okay, well, stupid, now I know.
Yeah, now once that's happened, you know that. I tell you what else I did once, and I ended up going down to Staples, and took them a long time to figure out what the problem was. I had turned the light off, so it was all dark.
Yeah,
It was one of those, little where you can control how light it is.
right.
And I never thought about checking that.
Yeah. Let's see, I think I got it printed out now. All right. So yeah, I think I looked through these and everything looked fine. Let me just take a quick look.
Oh, I do have a note under 4A.
Okay.
I have a little note at the bottom that's of A that says maybe I missed some details here.
Okay, Thomas Cunningham has completed the work expected and then some. He got interested in older cemeteries and did more than he planned. TC had no prior experience with New England cemeteries. This was a good experience for him. Yeah, TC completed all the mapping, both the south and north sections. Yeah, that's all correct. Just talking about, he found 86 burials. No, I think you've got everything there.
Oh, good. You know what I was thinking
Well, no,
about?
actually, it's in number C, 4C.
Yep.
That's the one, I'm just reading it now. It says, we now have lots with potential current sale value of 40,000. No, we don't have those lots now. That's the thing with people in them. We do not have those lots.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
what is
if those lots were empty, all those ones that said vacant on the map, we
okay.
had a little over $40,000 in sales, but now they're not empty. We know that there's somebody in them. So
Okay. So do we know how many lots we did end up finding out are empty?
none of the ones that were that said unknown, none of them were vacant. They all had burials in them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's why it's like 80 something,
Whoa.
80 something people in there that. So I guess when they marked on the map unknown, it didn't mean they didn't know if anybody was in there or not. It meant there's somebody in there, but
They
they were
don't.
unknown who they were,
Yeah.
apparently.
Okay. Well, thank you for checking that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the only thing that I see that's wrong is that,
That's definitely wrong.
yep. So we do not have
Okay, doke.
the potential current sales of $40,000.
Yeah. Unless we
Well,
could sell part of a lot.
yeah, well, the lots were pretty full.
Okay.
They were around such that there wasn't like a lot of 8 and there was 4 on one side. I was hoping that, but they were spread out throughout the
Oh,
area. So,
well, that's really a shame.
yep, yeah. So I guess I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with that correction under 4C.
Okay.
And if you'll second it, I
I'll,
guess we got to do this is hard with only 2 people, but
yeah, I'll second it.
all right. So, just with those corrections, I think everything else looks good.
Good.
So I guess we'll vote on accepting them. So we'll do the roll call vote. So Millinger
Millinger, aye.
and Tibbetts aye. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see.
Unanimously approved. Walter, I was wondering, except it would be more money.
Yeah.
We don't really know where the burials were up by town hall, right? In the central cemetery?
Mm, I'm not exactly sure exactly where the cemetery was. No, it was I don't know if it was behind, in the field back there or a little off to the side. I can, something we can research because there's obviously got to be information about it. But I know that was done. The vote to decommission it and move it was like in 1937, I think it was.
Well, no, I think it was
Oh,
in the 1840s, 30s or 40s that they opened up West Cemetery and
yeah,
moved people.
that they opened up west, but they closed the central cemetery
Okay,
in 37. I
Okay.
somewhere here, I've got the Senate vote to do that or something like that,
Oh,
so,
good. Okay,
yeah,
well, that's helpful. I haven't gotten that far in the town minutes.
yeah.
So that's the meeting minutes. That will be useful to find out about.
Yeah, let me see if I have it right here. Yeah, matter of fact, here it is. There was Senate Bill numbers or docket number 359. It was the March 16th, 1937. When there was a town petition asking them to authorize to take over for school purposes the center cemetery in said town, report the accompanying bill, Senate number 359. And basically it said, yeah, the town of Shutesbury by its vote may continue to use for cemetery purposes of the whole or any part of a certain tract of land therein known as center cemetery, owned by said town and used from time immemorial as a cemetery, may discontinue the public use of a certain way extending from Leverett Road, so-called, to said cemetery, and may thereof use said cemetery or part thereof, as the case may be, and said way for school and schoolyard purposes, and said cemetery or part thereof in said way according to said vote shall thereafter be under the same care and control as other school property. And then section 2 says said town at its expense shall exhume and reinter in other suitable burial places the remains of such bodies interned in said cemetery or in said part thereof as the ease may be, and have not been removed therefrom by relatives or friends of the deceased within a period of 3 months after the last publication of the notice herein after provided.
Wow.
And shall remove all headstones and other monuments standing after the expiration of said period in said cemetery or in said part thereof, and in a suitable manner replace the same at or over the graves in the new burial places, so that the remains of the bodies reinterred therein shall be indicated as they were in said cemetery or in said portion thereof. So basically, they were supposed to move everything with them if they had them, so we really don't know. This is gonna take some investigative stuff to figure out.
Just where it was.
Yeah, and just where that was and how many and where all these people that have been found are actually come
Or
from.
some of them are in Old North.
Yes, yep. So it's gonna take a little bit of
Yeah, it's an interesting project. It also
yeah.
sounds like that the Senate said that basically they didn't have to remove
Oh,
everybody. They could just remove part of the cemetery.
Dina's here. I'm just gonna let her in. I just noticed that she joined.
Oh, good.
Hi, Dina.
You
I
guys can,
think,
yes,
what was that?
you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes, we can now. Yep. Sorry, I didn't know how long you were there. I noticed we hadn't seen you, so we started the meeting and I was looking down, all of a sudden I looked up and saw that you were waiting, so.
I was there for a while. That's okay. I was in the kitchen and completely lost track of time. So
Okay, all right.
I
So
handed dinner off to someone else.
the
Well,
only thing we really did was went over the minutes of last meeting and then just kind of that brought up the discussion of the 80, 46, whatever plus um bodies that they had found in the doing the ground penetrating radar that then means that those lots are not for sale now. So and then we're just kind of discussing where the center cemetery was, and Leslie had printed out for me at one point the Senate vote in March 16th of 1937, where they allowed them to put the school there and close the cemetery and move all the graves. So we know when that happened. We just got to figure out if some of those moves didn't have headstones, or if all those graves that have people in them now that don't have headstones or any kind of indication of who it is, we gotta try to
Are they
figure out.
clustered? Are those graves clustered?
No, they're all over the place. All those, I forget how many different lots. I did that whole sheet that said all the vacant lots and figured that at today's prices of $300 or $350 a lot, that it was over $40,000 worth of lots. They're all have people in them, every single one of
Wow.
them.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
So our
it's
cemetery is more full than we realized.
yes, yep. So that what we thought we might be potential, places for sales and not, so we wouldn't have to expand later on. Turns out we can't use
Is
those.
do we have records that are uh even come close to being sufficient that we could sit down and actually reconcile?
I don't know. We've got to start looking to see what there is for records as to if there is any indication of who and what they are. Because I know when they did the map up, Bill Randall and I guess it was for COG at that point, Franklin Regional Council of Governments. Um, Obviously they didn't get quite everything was standardized and everything should be this, but it's not exactly what was there for locations.
Mhm.
But that's when they put down all those lots as being unknown. So
So
I didn't know if unknown meant we're
and
unknown if anybody was there or if they're vacant, or in this case it was, well, somebody's there and we don't know who they are.
it'd be it'd be a good winter project.
Yeah, yep, that's
Sit
for
down at
sure.
town hall and spread stuff out and see what we can make of it.
Yep.
Wow,
Yeah, I'm
that's
pretty
really
interested
interesting.
project. I would like to be involved in the project.
I
Oh
would do
yeah.
that with you.
Yeah, I think it's something could be in it. We could just, we'd have to have it a scheduled meeting. But it would be something that would be very interesting to do all together, and just, we'd have to devote the whole meeting or maybe more than just one meeting to try to just figure out what is there for the records.
I don't know that we
And
have to do all of that in a meeting. The work
well,
of, I mean, it seems to me that some of the work of the committee can happen outside of a scheduled meeting if what we're trying to do is.
right, I guess we can check into it, make sure as long as we're not making decisions or voting on anything, that maybe we can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
think so. So
Okay.
we're a work group.
yeah.
If Dina, if you want to ask Grace that to make
I'll
sure
ask
that
her.
we're not, I just don't want to violate open meeting laws, that's all.
No, we don't. We
No,
don't. I'd get in such trouble.
yeah.
That sounds great. I didn't, when I read through the minutes, I didn't see anything that, I would flag, so.
Now, the only thing that we did flag was under 4C, where Susan had, we now have lots with a potential current sale value of $40,000. That is, we don't have those, so that was the
Missed
only
that.
thing. So,
Was towards the end of the meeting, I think I wasn't too functional.
yeah, okay. Yeah, you weren't feeling very good last meeting, were you?
Oh, I had pneumonia, went on
Oh,
for,
geez.
But you're doing better. You look better. You have, even
yeah,
from Zoom, you have better color.
yeah, I'm officially healed now because I don't have symptoms. I still have some pneumonia in my lungs, but I don't have symptoms, so I'm
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's see. I guess we should get back to the agenda a little bit. Under two new burials, lot sales and monument installations, there's been no new burials. One inquiry for lot sales, neighbors down the street, I have to, the kilos were looking at green burials. I think that just came up last Thursday or Friday. They sent an email. So I do have to reply to them and give them the process for doing that. And there was one additional monument installation for Al Springer that was done, I think it was done this week, the beginning of this week or last week, through Dorsey Memorial, which I think is still TS man, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to ask him next time if he bought both of them or not. So they did a small in the ground like footstone, and he was at the same time supposed to be doing the one down at Pratt Corner, or excuse me, Loxpond Road Cemetery. Apparently, he never hadn't done that for the Reeds yet, so he was going to do that one at the same time. So I'm not sure.
Do we know that he did them?
I do not know. I had been in contact with him, told him everything was marked out for the Springer lot, and he had called and said that he was going to do that and the Reed one at the same time. I tried to get a hold of him to let him know it was done. I sent emails and all that a couple times and a text, and I think finally at the text or the email like a day or two later, he finally answered me and said thank you. So I don't know if he's done it yet or not. I can stop by and see. Hopefully he did.
Thanks.
And that was it for that. For burials, lot sales, or monument installations. Grounds and groundkeeper update. I don't really have anything specific. Although last time I was up there for marking out the Springer lot footstone, he had done some more on some of the shrubs that had gone out of control, and he cut a bit more of that, and it's actually looking pretty nice out there. A little more kept up.
Good.
And I have gotten more just compliments from people saying that it really looks good and all. So hopefully, we'll keep going there. And he had done some leaf blowing and all, and it looks pretty good. So things are going well. I did at the same time, Tom had left all the little flags for doing when he did the ground penetrating radar. And I had taken pictures of most of that and went and recorded how many were in each bodies he found in each lot, figuring he could take his flags and, he could reuse them. Well, he left them all there. So the other day when I was there, I went and I pulled them all up, and it was quite a few. Because he figured there was a white flag and a red flag for at least every body. So there was over 160 little flags all over the place. And actually, I had somebody the other day ask me, what are all those flags doing in the cemetery? So I had to explain them the whole project. So
We're trying to find out where the bodies are.
So were those for headstones and footstones? Is specifically were they tops and bottoms of burials? The red and blue?
No, what he does is when he goes through with the ground penetrating radar, if it looks like there might be something there, he'll put a white flag first. And then when he comes back again, the next pass, just a little bit, further away, if he picks up in the same places again, then it's much more, like I said, it's all interpretation, but it gives
Okay.
if he gets the same reading in the same basic area, he puts a red flag, meaning that, yeah, there's definitely something there. And he confirmed some of them that he actually did some probing, and he said some of them were actual cement vaults. Other ones were the reflection of the ground penetrating radar appeared to be like a metal casket. And then other ones were, maybe been a wooden casket and no vault or anything. So yeah, it was, but those are a little more to interpretation. He has sent a couple emails stating that he's working on things. He had a family emergency, so he's got a little behind, and he was hoping to have stuff to us by the end of the week, but I haven't heard anything from him yet. So I think he's still a little behind on getting us our report. I think he did so much that it almost overwhelmed himself, I think, for the mapping and all that. So we are yet to hear from him on that as to see the final product. So, but then again, we haven't paid he hasn't billed us, so we haven't paid anything more either.
So you have pictures of where all the flags were?
Yeah, I took some pictures with my phone to like the lot number, because I painted them on the ground in paint, and a picture of the flags. Yeah, so just to get an idea of how many there were. Plus I had a notebook and I just wrote down, each lot, how many bodies were in each one.
Can you print those out for us so we have a hard copy?
Yeah, I could do that.
I just worry about stuff being on a phone and
Yeah,
it dropping.
disappearing. Yep. Oh yeah. Believe me, I've done some stuff like that and
Oh,
taken
me
pictures
too.
of stuff, or you write notes down and then later on it's like, where did that notebook go? And yep. Yeah, it's a good idea. I will print those out. I'm gonna mark that right on here.
Those need to go with our records in our file cabinet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It needs to be kept. I really trust paper more than electronics still.
Well, I think that's smart
Yep.
because electronics change all the time.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. And nothing to say if you got it on a thumb drive or a hard drive that's not something's gonna happen to it and then it's gone. So
Yep.
it's nice to have it in multiple different places in multiple different medias.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions on that right now?
Not today. No.
Okay. So the next is the cremational burial worksheet. Oh, I put in fee schedule. I didn't get that far. I did a cremational burial worksheet, and I'm going to try to share that. If I can figure out how to do this, let's see. Share document.
Do you dig for those yourself, Walter, or do you let the funeral homes do it?
Do what?
Digging for cremated remains burials.
Usually I do that.
That's what I figure.
Import. Here we go. And I think it's under documents. Here we go. All right. Hey, look, it worked. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bunch of stuff popping up. Oh no, I lost it. Try that again. Okay, there we go. All right. So again, we can call it different things. I just started cremational burial information sheet. And in no particular order. Started with obviously the name of the deceased, lot number, or at least the name on the lot, location on the lot for internment, which, people say, yeah, I want to have my, relative buried here. Well, it's really kind of nice to know where on the lot they want them to be buried. So, whether we have like a little sketch or they do a sketch or just to talk to them and say, okay, this is the layout, which I've done before. It's gone there and sketched a little layout. This is where each person is buried. These are the open spaces. Where do you want this, your relative buried or interned? Something I hadn't thought about, but I kind of ran into it. Size of urn or ash container. They're usually the standard hole I do will encompass most of them. But then there was one that I did that they had actually decided to put the urn in a cement vault, a little cement vault for the urn.
Oh my.
Which meant the hole had to be substantially bigger.
Oh my goodness.
Luckily, I found that out just before it happened. So I was able to dig the hole bigger. But so that was,
told them that. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, but
yeah, it was, I've never seen that before. I've never seen an urn buried in a little cement vault, but they make them just for the urns. So it's like,
yeah.
okay. So the
So
urn, So the vault was like 12 by 12 outside, 12 by 12, or 14 by 14. So it's good to know. Ask
Yes.
that question.
Walter, I think you were talking about having a sketch. I think it would be ideal if there were a little diagram on the
Yeah.
information sheet.
Yeah, and we'd have to do it for, 8-plot lot, 4-plot lot, so we'll have, I guess, a multitude of them. And, or, we could just do an 8-plot lot and, and if it's a 4-plot lot, we can kind of, just diagram, outline those 4 plots.
Yeah, and you could have it on a separate sheet,
Yep,
the
yeah,
diagram.
we
On
can
the
do
flip
that.
side,
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So, yeah, so lot. So sketch for that. All right. Okay, then name of funeral director. If none, who is in charge?
such an important question.
Yep, because sometimes the person that called isn't necessarily the person that's running things or scheduling everything. So date and time for burial. Then we ran into this thing is there going to be a church service? If so, where and what time?
We
How
could,
long is it expected to last? Go ahead, Dina.
I just think the word
Oh,
church isn't going to be relatable to everybody. You
oh
could
yeah,
say
okay.
formal instead of church, and then it's more inclusive.
Yeah. Is there a formal service? Then I would just also say, is there going to be a graveside service? So
Which is really
yeah,
important.
but we'll change that to formal. Is there going to be a, because that could be at the funeral home, it could be at somebody's
Right.
home, could be, is there going to be a, what was the word you used? Oh, formal, yeah.
Formal. I think
Yeah.
that's a better word there. And I also think that the question about graveside services needs to be there too. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they may have both. Or
Yeah,
they may not have a formal service, but they're going to do a graveside service.
right.
So again, so is there going to be a formal service? Where, what time? How long is it expected to last? Is there going to be a graveside service? And how long will that last? And then I put in, will you want to lower the urn into the grave or will you leave that up to the cemetery personnel? Because some people like to do that part of it. Other people just leave it as is. And will you want to put any dirt into the grave or will you leave that up to cemetery personnel?
I think that's great.
Is there anything else that either of you can think of that would be a good question to ask that I haven't thought of here?
Just are they planning to add a marker for the cremated remains in the plot?
Okay. Let's add that.
People could always add an inscription to an existing stone, yes?
That too,
Yes. Yep.
if there's
A
room.
marker or a separate marker.
That's a good idea.
Whoops. Yeah. Spelling.
Yeah, it's a rat. I remember
Yeah.
somebody telling me that. It's a rat in separate.
Yeah.
That's I feel too.
Or for the, well, will be a separate marker? Okay.
That's pretty straightforward.
Now, let's see.
Looks good.
All right.
So we need, so the fees are a separate section, huh?
Yeah, and I have not talked to Gail yet about what we can and can't do for how that works out, but I mean, we can discuss it if we want. I mean, do we want to increase the fee such that some of the fee goes to the person that's actually doing the work and some goes to the cemetery to go, or cemetery commission to go into our expendable trust? Um, or not.
Think
I'd like to, what information are you expecting to get from Gail?
One to see if, well, part of it is because, you know, we've always done this, or this is how I was told it was done, so I kept doing it, is that there was a flat fee for doing the cremational burials. You know, I used to charge like $50 and they told me, no, it's not enough. You gotta go at least 150. So I went up to 100. I went to 75 and then to 100. So that usually gets paid to me directly. But there's no way to really account for that. So we thought it would be better to run it through where we collect it, it goes to the town, made out to the town of Shutesbury, and then it goes into the revolving fund, and the person that does the work get paid out of that. But the question that I have is, if the person is being, like Carl or myself, is being paid by the hour, can they then also get a flat fee like that, like $100 for doing the work? Or does it have to be, do they have to be paid by the hour? So we figure out how long it's going to take to do it on average. And that's how we pay them.
I mean,
And that's just an accounting thing for the town. So I just want to clarify that with her to make sure
let's
we're doing
clarify
it right.
that before we discuss.
Say that again, sorry.
I was thinking, let's clarify that before we have a real discussion about it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I can clarify what we can do. Can
Yeah.
they get their flat fee or not?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and then, so I guess a part of the discussion was too is, you know, do we want to increase that fee or not? Do we want to leave it at $100? And have it go just to the person that's doing the work? Or do we want to raise it a little bit for admin fees and everything else for doing this stuff and raise it to like $150 and make it so 100 goes to the person and $50 goes to
To
the
the town.
revolving fund, if we can legally do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are lots of things to discuss about it and whether we're charging enough for cremation burials in the first place. So,
Right, yeah,
I think it's a bigger discussion.
okay, yep,
So let's get that information from Gail and put it into the pot and stir it all up.
okay, sure. All right. Now I've gotta see I made these changes. If I can save these changes now. I'm not sure. I don't want to necessarily save it to the cloud, but I guess I'm gonna have to for now. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to do this a little bit more. Uh, are we done with this then, do you think?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay,
Good,
and
looks good.
I will add to it some sketches. Cause I actually have, I think in the computer, my computer somewhere, sketches for lots already done out, so. Well, that's not what I wanna do. Come on.
Thank you for doing that, Walter.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. I finally got to doing it. It's like the other night I was sitting here going, I just gotta do this right now. Otherwise I'll forget it again. So. All right. Let's see. Next on the agenda, if there's nothing more on that, is the CPA grant application. Yeah, Susan, you had sent that out.
Yep.
And I think was there a question on that?
Well, yeah, there was a question on that, mostly about the money.
Okay,
And well, just in general, the question about whether you all approve the content. But mostly we need to talk about the funding.
okay. Does that have to be in the, is
Yeah.
that part of that
Yes,
application? It is, okay.
yes.
All right. Yeah,
But
I put a call into Tamara this morning again. I just got her answer machine or voicemail and left a message. I haven't heard back from her, so I don't know if she's on the road working or just really busy or what. So,
You'd be hard.
because I asked her because we haven't heard from her. Wondered first of all how much work is left to be done on this grant. I said, we haven't seen a bill or anything from you on this. Are you done? Are you not done? What's left to do? And what's left to do for the second half? And is the pricing still going to be the same as we originally talked about, or is it different? So, kind of have to hear back from her on that, what the actual pricing is going to be, if it's going to be the same or not.
yes, my sense is that the CPC may not be too happy about a grant if she hasn't finished.
Her work already, yes. Yep,
I mean, we may have to think about putting it off for a year unless she's finished.
right.
Yeah,
And the final application is due, hang on, where did
The first part of December, is it? Oh, no, it's
Oh,
no,
no, the
that's right.
determination of eligibility is December 5th.
Yeah,
But the actual deadline to submit is February 6th.
okay.
okay. Unfortunately, with the temperatures that we're having overnight, she's not going to be able to do any mortar work anymore. So I think everything's on hold.
So okay, so I can go to them and ask that question, and they're having a meeting tomorrow night, but I think
Yes,
I'd rather wait
Yeah,
till a later date to bring that up.
sure. Okay.
Does that make sense?
does make sense to me, yeah.
Yeah. And I was listening in on the historical commission meeting last night, and Mateo is on that committee also, and there was something said that although, they have the request for determination for December 5th, that even if you don't put that in, you can still go for a grant later on, the application. That's more or less if you're not sure it's going to meet eligibility, which if this is the exact same project we've done twice before,
Yeah,
we
we don't
pretty
have-
much know it's going to meet eligibility.
Yeah, there's no doubt about the eligibility.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess, if you want to ask them, is it going to be a problem if she was unable to finish this grant now and won't be able to finish till spring? Is it going to be a problem in applying for one? If so, we should just wait another year.
Well, let's wait because there's a meeting to address questions for potential applicants on January 16th, and I would
Okay,
rather to January 16th.
That
that's
makes
fine.
sense.
Yep. Okay,
I
I
sent
think that's good.
Mateo a note to ask whether there was anything in particular he wanted us to come to the meeting tomorrow. He said no, but that means that he knows.
Yes,
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
So
it's just,
we are gonna, for December 5th, we are gonna have to talk about money.
yes,
yes,
Talk about how much she's gonna be charging us, and we have to talk about available funds and how much we want to request.
right. Yep.
And do we have anything to supplement the grant?
Well, I think I went back into the minutes, the old minutes the other night to see how much we had allocated for the mapping and ground penetrating radar and where we were taking that from.
Mhm.
I just wrote down those figures, but I didn't actually calculated out. So we've got to look at carefully of where the money was coming from for the first CPA grant using the gifts that we were given and matching funds, and what we decided to take out for the ground penetrating radar and see really what's left. So I think we got to kind of do an accounting of that first before we have any idea of how much money we have to put into that. So
Yeah, and you know, historical, the Friends of the Historical Commission pretty much, they gave us a big chunk of their money and they
right,
very little, so they don't exactly have a fund.
right. Yeah, and the part of we had allocated some of that for some of the ground penetrating or the mapping for the, especially for the north section. So I've got to just again figure out all the numbers, see what we actually have available, what we've already allocated, and what's left, if anything.
Yeah, can you do that by the 5th so I can include?
Yes.
Oh, great, thank you, Walter.
Yeah, I'll work on that. You know, if probably not till this weekend, but I will try to get all those figures together and see. I got to get well, none of that should have really changed, so I can get the last copy that was sent out of the you know, they used to do it monthly. They send out what everybody has expended out of their accounts from Gale. So I'll get the last one that we have and dig into that and see what was in all those funds and
Okay.
what we've allocated and make sure that we've not over allocating stuff. And then I'll be able to tell you what we have left for that.
Because ideally, we would be contributing some,
Yes, yeah,
and ideally, we would get letters of support from Friends and the Historical Commission.
Right.
But I don't know, and I think the Historical Commission gave us $500 last time.
I thought that's my memory.
So I
Okay.
need to, how's about I email the chair and find out if that's still a possibility? If they might be,
okay. Yeah, because some of those funds, I know the Friends, they actually that I think that was put into an account specifically for, you know, under us or in the grant for
yeah,
that was transferred from them. As for the Friend or the Historical Commission, I don't know if they physically transferred that money or not. I think, matter of fact, they were having a little confusion on their own funds the other night, as to what was coming out of their CPA grant and what had come out of their regular funds. So, that's a good idea.
yeah,
Follow that up.
they gave us something from their own funds. It was separate from what we got from the Friends.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to follow that up. I may have to contact you, Susan, and just get those figures because I may have it in the grant application or whatever, if I have a copy of it, but if not, you know, I know you have that, so,
I do, yep, from
okay,
last, yep, absolutely, I've got it. Yeah,
okay. All right. So I will work on that this weekend to try to get that all figured out. So we know where we stand.
thanks, Walter, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's
Uh,
basically 2 weeks from today is the 5th.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, it is. Hard to believe it's almost December.
I think I lost
okay.
track of time. And I've just been
All right.
busy ever since.
All right. Anything else on the CPA grant application?
I don't think so. If you
Okay.
all are happy with the content, you can just send me notes if you think anything should be different.
Okay, I
I
know
think
I
decided
read
to-
through it quickly, but I think I need to read through it again just to
Yeah.
make sure it all looked kind of good, but
Yeah, well, it's mostly from last time.
yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, any other unfinished business that anybody can think of? Or any unanticipated items, anything that's come up that you want to bring to our attention?
Not from me.
Okay. All right, so next meeting. Do we want to have one in December? See how it falls with,
It would be the 18th.
okay, so it's not too close to the holiday.
Yeah, I think we're good. I'm happy to meet if you guys want to.
Yeah, we might have something grant related to talk about.
Right,
Right.
yep, and hopefully we'll have more information from Tamara and from Tom. And maybe we can look at setting a date for a nice winter project of trying to go through all the records and try to figure out who might be buried in there.
Yep.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
so the next meeting would be Wednesday, December 18th. At 6 p.m. Okay. Anything else that anybody wants to bring up? Questions, concerns, anything? Going once, going twice. All right. I guess we'll accept the motion for adjournment.
I will so move.
Second,
Okay, make it official, do a roll call vote. So Susan,
I.
Dina,
Hi.
and I'll vote aye also. All right, thank you. And we will see you
Dina.
all next month. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Thank you.
Try to.